So, my name's Lauren Gilmore. I signed on last September 1st, and I was the last person to be able to sign on when it was $50 instead of $55. So, a little bit about me before I signed on. Okay, I was married very young. My husband and I dated all through high school and college. We got married when I was 19 and he was 20, and about a year and a half later we had our first baby. And so we have started our lifestyle really young. We started a family really young. I really didn't know much about being a wife or a mom, and I was just kind of thrown into it. And I got married in college while I was getting a degree to be a teacher. And so I went for early childhood education and thinking that I wanted to work with little kids. And I also got a reading endorsement, which allowed me to teach from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. So I did some part-time teaching jobs here and there, some long-term sub positions and things like that. And then I was able to get into a position where I taught half of the day reading intervention, and then the other half of the day I taught 8th grade reading. And I thought, Lord, this is not what I signed up for. I am an early childhood major. Like, I don't know anything about middle school kids. That's the last thing I would want to do. And so I taught the 8th grade reading, and I just fell in love with it. I did not think that I would be able to bond with middle school kids. I did not think that I would enjoy teaching that kind of stuff, but it just allowed me to just have a whole different outlet instead of wiping noses and learning the ABCs all day long. So I was able to, the next year I was hired in for a kindergarten full-time position, and that was my way. We had just prayed and prayed and prayed that I could get a full-time job so that we could just get by and pay our bills, because we could barely survive. We were just poor college students, and we were married, and we had a new baby. So I was hired in as a full-time kindergarten teacher, and I thought, well, this is obviously what I'm supposed to be doing. So I taught a year of kindergarten, and it was like survival mode the whole time. I barely got through the year. I just thought, this is not what I signed up for. You guys know, if you are a kindergarten teacher or you have kindergarten age kids, like, it is nonstop. And imagine that times 20 or 25 kids. So I was like, I just don't think this is what I want to do. My heart is really with the middle school, because I had that opportunity in the middle school. So, and at that time, my daughter was going into kindergarten the next year, and I just had such a feeling inside, like, I really don't know that I want her in public school. I really want her to be in Christian school, but that just can't happen because I'm teaching in public school and I can't get her there. So the next year, a position opened up in the 6th and 7th grade at the school I was teaching. It was a public school. And so I went to that position, and it was full-time, and I taught the morning I taught 6th grade reading, and then the afternoon I taught 7th grade reading. So that position was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And through that job, I was able to just minister to the middle school girls, some girls that just didn't have a mother figure. Some of the girls just needed hair advice, or they loved how I fixed my hair and I did my makeup, and they wanted to know how to do it like Miss Gilmore. And so it was a really, really cool thing that I had going on. And I had another child, and they got to watch me be pregnant during all of that. And so I just felt so fulfilled in the middle school teaching job. So that I taught 6th and 7th grade for, it would have been this coming year would have been my 4th year. And so this past year, in the midst of me working that job, I was putting tons of time and tons of effort into renewing my teaching certification and making lesson plans, and everything just was coming. I love Heather Burns. You'll hear her story later. I love her quote where she said, "The juice wasn't worth the squeeze." And that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like I was just working myself to death, and I was not seeing any bit of breakthrough as far as the kids' education. Like, I was so beaten down for state testing standards and state test scores and what was my percentage of passing and proficient. And, you know, I got so frustrated because I felt like, you know, I know my kids are learning stuff and I know that they're having fun while they're learning, but I just cannot be a teacher that paperworks them to death and doesn't allow them to get up out of their seat and move around and use manipulatives. And I just couldn't wrap my head around that. I can't change who I am as a teacher just to help them pass a test. And it got so frustrating. Every year I would, at the start of the school year, when we would do our teacher in service, they would talk about test scores and how everybody who passed and who didn't, and it was like a dark cloud, just really heavy, and it made me feel like, oh, like, here we go again. It's just, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And I was working my tail off to try to teach to the test, but also to make it fun. And so last year, I had signed on with Sene-Story in September, and just all throughout the school year, I felt like the Lord was just kind of loosening the soil around my roots, I guess. And I would see it coming up with lesson plans seemed harder and harder. It was more difficult for me to get excited about the lessons and the activities I was teaching, the novels we were reading. It was just harder. And I found myself more in tune with my Sene-Story and my lip sense business, and feeling more fulfilled in that and seeing that more as an opportunity, a ministry opportunity, than my teaching job was. Now, I don't think for one second that I was not in that teaching job by accident. I know that I was there. I was put there for a reason, and I was meant to minister to the kids that I had in my care. And what's so cool is my first year of teaching, I taught a second grade long-term sub position, and then this past school year, my second graders were my seventh graders. And so it was like everything had kind of come full circle, and my eighth graders that I had graduated this year. So it just has all seemed like just the Lord has given me so many signs like that. And so throughout last year's school year, as I was working, I would have try to get my lesson plans done, and I would spend my planning period filming short little live videos for my team, or I would be packaging orders, or I would be researching. I mean, it was just like constant grind. Every spare second I had, I was growing the business and trying to think of a creative way to get my name out there and to recruit. And so in November, I was asked on Pearl Junkie I had like a lot of success early on recruiting, and I was asked on Pearl Junkie by Jada to post a video and talk about how I had recruited just organically and how I had hooked distributors. And I did that video, and from that point on, it just was like I had this newfound confidence in the business because I had such an outpouring of love, and that video has been shared and commented on thousands of times, and people still say they really appreciate that video and they love it. And so I think at that point it made me feel like, you know, this is me being able to minister and encourage and teach other women. And so the Lord's allowing me to use what I would use in the classroom as a teacher for my team and for other distributors and my Sene sisters. And it was just like, I could just see how having the teaching experience that I did, it allowed me to be a better lip sense distributor leader. And so all throughout the year, I would have this longing in my heart, like, Lord, I feel like I want to be full-time Sene-Story, and I feel like I don't want to be teaching anymore, because at this point I was bringing home commission checks that were almost half of my teaching salary, and then the next time it was my whole monthly salary, and then in May it was my entire year teaching salary in 1 month. So just every time something like that would happen, hey buddy, Creedy has to come join in on my video. You want to come join? Okay, he can sit with me. Okay, so then, you want to say hi?
Your hat's on.
You got your hat on? We have our hats on. Okay, so I felt an uneasiness just all through the months, not knowing if that's what the Lord's plan was for me. So I would just pray throughout the year, just please make it clear, give me a peace about this decision. If you want me to be full-time, then make it clear. If you don't and you want me to stay in the teaching position, then give me a peace about it and help me be content where I am, because I just was not feeling content. So every month I would have to kind of, sorry, the bugs are getting me. Every month I would have to, along the way I would try to let my husband know, this happened in the business, or I was able to teach so-and-so, and listen to this big breakthrough. And so it was really neat for him. Hey buddy, we got our big boy underwear on. So it was really neat for him to be able to, it's not that I had to talk him into letting me quit my teaching job, but I just had to let him know, this is a real thing, it's a real business, and I'm feeling more fulfilled in it than I am right now in my teaching job. And so little by little, he would hear me talk about the business and watch. He would just watch and see the commission checks come in, and see how my attitude was changing towards just my daily life and how fulfilled I was and everything. And at the point, we were probably after seminar in April, this past April, after I was able to be just completely surrounded by other distributors and just see what everybody calls it the Sene-Spirit. You can just feel the Sene-Spirit in the air. And after I was able to experience that, it was at that point that I really had complete peace about going forward and leaving a job with retirement and benefits, because we still have that option. We can still do that with our Senegence business, and if we're smart with our commissions and everything. But it was just leaving that comfort zone and taking a leap of faith, and I have never felt more free and fulfilled. And I have 3 babies at home, and so now I have you want to sit on my lap? Now I have the opportunity to be home with them a lot more. We have the freedom financially, and I'm not saying that these things come without work. Like, it has been a lot of work for the past 9 months, but it hasn't felt like work. It's the most fun job that I've ever had. And what's really cool, I talked about back when my oldest was going to kindergarten, and I really wanted her to be in Christian school, but she just couldn't be. Well, we have the opportunity to send our kids to have a Christian education, which is just something that's been on our hearts. And financially we couldn't do it. Logistically we couldn't do it because of my full-time job. So it's just really cool how it's all worked out, and we just could not be more thrilled. And I am so excited for all of you guys, just the opportunity you have within this group and all the resources you're going to have just to learn from everyone. And we want to make it so clear to you guys that there's not a one-size-fits-all, and everybody's stories are different, but we do have some parallels. I've met a lot of girls throughout this that have a lot of parallels in their story that I do, and so you can write your own path to this. And it's been, I was just chatting with somebody this morning that's thinking about joining my team, and she's like, I want to be home with my kids so badly, but I just can't. And she's an RN right now. And you know what? If that is your goal, and if that's what's on your heart, and that's what you want more than anything, then work hard and try to make this business as successful as you can, and take every opportunity to learn so that you can do that and have your dream come true, which is... You see a bug? Oh, he sees a bug. So I won't keep you guys on here much longer. We're going to head off to the pool. So I appreciate you guys.